Welcome back to Legends of Ivey Point Road, brought to you by DC's Garage and Entertainment, the show where we celebrate the untold stories of the men and women who shaped drag racing with nothing but raw passion and blind ambition. Today, we have a true pioneer in the hot seat, straight from Union Hill.
That's
and
exactly
definitely
right.
a legend of Ivey Point Road. With great honor, I'd like to bring to you Mr. Terry Nolen. How you doing today, Terry?
I'm doing good.
You've had a busy week this week.
Yep.
You getting ready to go racing.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go to South Georgia. We'll go down there and finish up Bristol race and then run a...
So it rained out in Bristol.
Yeah.
And now they're going to count. Is that like a 3-day event now?
It's a 4-day event, 3 races.
That's a 4-day racing vacation.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Gonna get some time trials in, some passes in. Yep.
Well, I imagine,
will.
I hope it's not hot. It's been hot around here.
Yeah. We're planning on it being hot. Let's put it like that.
So will you be down there a whole week?
Yeah, we'll get there Tuesday, and if everything goes well, they'll finish Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to get into drag racing?
Just went to Union Hill one night. Me and a buddy of mine just kind of on a whim heard about it. Never been up there. Went up there to watch really, and got up there and found out we could race. So I ended up entering his '69 Chevelle, and we run it. But he'd had some intake and carburetor change, so they made it a modified car. So there wasn't any brackets or anything at that time.
How old were you then?
16.
And so your buddy was 16 too?
No, he was 20, 19 or 20. Yeah.
Oh, so he's like...
He's old enough to have a nice car.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what year car was that?
A '69 Chevelle.
Was it automatic or?
No, it's 4-speed.
It's 4-speed.
396, 3 1/4, 4-speed.
That was the fun days then.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, it was off of a tree then too, right? It was.
Yeah.
Was it? I guess it was a
Five bulb tree.
Five
yeah.
bulb.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you had to race?
Floyd Maxwell.
Floyd Maxwell.
Yeah.
Mr. Modified Elimination.
I remember him
in a race car. Yeah, he had a real race car.
I remember him in the Chevy II.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But he didn't have a Chevy II.
No, he had that 57 first, and then he had 2 Opels. And I think he wrecked one of those Opels up there at the hill. The first one, I believe. I don't remember that car because it wasn't the little Opel like you had, Terry. It was one of those.
Cadet. It was a Cadet.
Cadet, yep, sure enough.
Yeah.
And one of them cars, Opels, was down there at Perry Holt's place and got burned up in that garage at that time. Mm-hmm. I think that last Opel was.
Yeah.
And then that's when he come up with that Chevy II. And that Chevy II belonged to Larry C. Is where that car come from.
I didn't know that.
Yep, sure did.
What year was that?
72.
72. When did they do? When did bracket racing start?
Probably started around 73 or 74. Like I say, I think Riverside had been doing it for a year or two, and it was slowly catching on, and a lot of these tracks needed car count, so they started letting amateurs, basically people that didn't know anything about it, giving them a chance to race, so that's basically what it was.
And if you didn't think Riverside used to draw a crowd, it did. They used to have a bunch of people down.
I knew a lot of people that went out there that ended up coming to Union Hill. Doug Horn and Frank Ferris went out there, I think, quite a bit then. And but I never went, for a long time. I just never went out there. It's too easy to go to Union Hill. It was a lot closer for me.
Did they categorize it with I remember street and heavy and pro and super pro back then? Or?
When they first started, it was bracket 1 and bracket 2.
Oh.
And the break was 10 seconds. 10 and up was bracket 2. 9.99 down was bracket 1. And it was, like I say, it was just a starting point. It didn't stay that way long. Cars got fast quick, started getting faster quicker because everybody was getting involved, a lot of people were getting involved.
So was Riverside kind of running the same bracket?
No, I think they just ran one bracket, so I think.
One bracket.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember too much.
Yeah.
So that's when I guess the Greenfields owned it.
Yeah, I think so. I think they owned it. I don't know exactly when they bought it. I knew Wingo's had it
Right.
Yeah, Wingo's had it for
a while before that, but I don't know exactly when Greenfields came in.
Yeah, it must have been. I'm not real sure.
It was somewhere
I
right
can
in
find
there.
out.
Yeah, it was somewhere right in there, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I know a guy who knows.
you know somebody.
Yeah, I've met Eric.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
Eric. Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I
come
know
to
Eric.
find out, it was actually Herman was the one. Well, Eric's
Granddaddy.
granddaddy is the one who actually him and his son and Eric's father. I think his name's Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne. Yeah, they were the ones who went to I guess Herman's dad and said, "Hey, we want to build a track up here." And I think I remember him saying that that was their tobacco field.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was a tobacco field, and he was like, And he's like, "Well, we'll give you the money. We'll give you the money that you would make off of tobacco," and they eventually let him do it. But yeah, that's another whole story.
Yeah.
But yeah, that track's been around for a while.
Yeah, I know when I started, it had a swimming pool down there.
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah, I had the
Yep.
swimming pool down
Yep.
behind where the tower is now, down in there.
Yeah.
Because the first
Down
few
in
years,
between them gullies.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was right there at that.
yeah. And like I say, a lot of people didn't even know anything about the swimming pool because once the Greenfields got it, or after a year or two, I think it was interfering with the racing part because
Well, trying to
they
get the
raced
people
on
out
Saturday.
there.
You couldn't get them out of there in time to get the cars in, you know, and I think they just opened it on weekends. I think the pool was just open on the weekends anyway.
So back then, how did you handle the financial side of drag racing?
It was tough. Like I say, I didn't really know anybody that had enough money to race, you know, and pay somebody else to do all their work, you know. So you had a few people, you know, Jimmy Bridges could do all his work, you know, different ones. So you had a few people racing like that. Like I say, I just pretty much had to learn on my own. You know, if I broke something, I had to fix it. You know, I didn't have nobody to help pay for it or, you know, anything. I had to figure something out. So, you know, that's how it started. I had a lot of good people, like I say, help. Had a friend of mine that was really good. He could build a fireplace. He could build a carburetor. It didn't matter. He could fix it.
He was good.
You know?
Jack of all
and he was just
trades.
that way. Yeah, he
Yep.
could just do anything. And so me and him got to be friends. And he was probably 8-10 years older than me. And he had a 55 Chevrolet with a big block in it. And so we just got to be friends because I went to school right around the corner from where he worked. So a lot of times when I get out of school, high school, I'd run around there and see him, you know, for a minute. And he was one of these people, he'd just tell you, you know, fix it yourself. If you couldn't fix it, bring it to me and I'll show you how, you know. And if I can't fix it, we'll find somebody that can, you know. He just believed that if somebody put it together, he could put it together.
Yeah, right.
You know, so he kind of drove that into me, you know.
Instrumental
if,
to you.
Yeah, if somebody if somebody put it together, you can fix it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I kind
And
of.
who was this?
His name was Sam. I don't really remember his last name. He passed away when I was about 20, 22. So he had a heart attack just out of the blue. He was 32, 33 years old and just had a heart attack. And, you know, I don't know what happened. He had 2 or 3 boys. I kind of lost track of all them, but he was a really good guy and just, you know, he would help anybody, but he kind of took me under his wing there for a while, you know, and he knew Jimmy Bridges because the Pontiac dealership was right in front of his business right down there.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
Jones Pontiac
Jones.
was right there on,
Yeah.
well, the tire store was like right behind it up on one of the back roads there right off of Oak Ridge Boulevard. So he knew a lot of the guys that worked down there too, and Jimmy worked down there, Dewey Knight worked down there, you know.
So there was a lot of key people around you
Oh yeah.
that helped you out quite a bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anybody else?
Fred Smith helped me with transmissions. Like I say, when I got my Chevy II, was late '72, early '73, and it had a good motor and stuff in it. And I started racing it and raced it for 2 or 3 years. Drove it on the street and raced it. Put slicks on it. Flat towed it to the hill for a couple
Was it
of years.
a stick shift car when
No,
you got it?
it had a turbo, 350 turbo.
Okay. Yep.
And then I put a when I decided to, I started making it faster and faster. Every winter I would do a little more to it and make it a little faster. And so finally I went to him with a picture of Ricky Smith's super stock car. And I'd already showed it to Bridges, you know, and I said, my look at it was, I got a bigger motor, more pistons. You know, I had a 350 in mine, 350 horse motor in my car. And I said, he's got a 327 flat top motor, you know. I said, got better heads, more carburetor. I ought to be able to run as fast as he does, you know. Well, that was, you know, pie in the sky stuff, you kind of wonder. But anyway, I talked to Fred, took it to him, and he had a power glide in it. And Marv Wright's A1 transmission had put the power glide and everything in it. And I told Fred, I said, I want you to build me a power glide that'll do this, you know, and they had the wheels 2 feet in the air, you know. He said, you can break one of them out here in the gravel, you know. And he wasn't for it at all, you know, but I knew him for a while, and he helped me a lot. Just, he would buy tires for me, you know, slicks, you know, he just really would help everything. But
because that was his car, that 65 Chevelle.
The Chevelle he had, yeah, he raced it a little bit.
And you did too.
Well, I raced it a couple of times when mine be broke or something would happen, you know, and then I didn't have one to race. He would say, come get it, you race it, you know. And I've been lucky like that, you know, if I was in the points or like say mine was broke for whatever reason, you know, he would say, come get it. You know, you can take it to Bowling Green, take it wherever you want to take it, just go race it, you know. And like I say, I've been lucky, like I say, I have a lot of people that would offer me a ride if something happened, if something happened to mine, you know.
I remember you telling me about the transmission that you built, your automatic transmission that you built for the first time.
Yeah.
It was a 350 turbo?
I built a 400.
A 400.
400
okay,
in it,
okay.
Yeah. I went to Fred and got we had put a 400 in it just because that's what you used if you raced, you know. So
Heavy duty.
I didn't have trouble out of a 350, but, you know, so he built me a 400 turbo. Or I bought one from somebody and put it in there and then raced it a year or so and drove it on the street and stuff. And and then it was acting up, slipping a little bit. And I went to Fred, was going to get him to fix it for me. And he gave me a kit, told me just, you know, you can fix it. Just take everything out, lay it on the table, put it back the same way, you know, put seals, put everything on it. You can do it. I said, okay. So I had it all jacked up in my garage and took it all apart, scattered it out. Took me about 2 days. You know, got it all back together, put it in the car, and put fluid in it and everything, and had it on jack stands and started going through the gears. And I said, put it in reverse, and it'd back up, you know, put it in low, and it'd move. When it went to second, it tried to jump off the jack stands, you know. And so I thought, well, and I kept fooling with it, and it'd do it every time. It'd just lock up when it go to second. So I called Fred and told him, I said, this is what it's doing. What happened, you know? And he said, well, how many clutches you put in it? I said, well, put whatever's in the kit. You know, you gave me the kit. He said, well, some of them hold 5, some of them hold 7 in second gear. I said, well, I don't have any left. He said, well, yours probably holds 5. You know, so he said, you need to take that out and take 2 clutches, 2 steels out of it. I said, well, good. I said, that'd been good to know beforehand, you know. And he said, well, you won't make that mistake again.
Right.
You know, I have them take it back out of a Chevy II, you know. Right. It ain't like they just fall out, you know. So I got it all back together and it worked good, you know. And then, like I say, right after that, I started talking to him about the power glide, and we put a trans brake and everything in the power glide.
Yeah, that was my next question. Just was what innovations or advancement that completely changed the game for you and your competitors?
The trans brakes came along, I guess in the late 70s they started, but that picture I was telling you about, they said something about a trans brake. Well, I didn't know what that was. Right. And so when Fred, I started talking to him about a power glide, and he called A1 and they told him what all you'd have to do to it and all this stuff. And I said, I want a trans brake in it too, and that's in the valve body, you know. So he said, okay. He wasn't all for that, because when they told him it locked low and reverse together, he said, this won't work. You know, he just convinced you just going to break it every time you used it. And but we got it all together, put it in the car, and this was about 70, maybe late 77, 78, something like that. And the car was pretty fast then. It's probably running low sevens, you know. And I took it up there and didn't have two-step or anything. We didn't know anything about all that stuff, you know. I put it in there and put it on the floor and just matted it, and the tree come down. I let go, and it stood straight up, you know, bogged, act like it, you know, like that, and fell down, crashed down, and took off. And I come around, and I said, well, I didn't like that, you know, so I just foot braked it after that for a while, and I called Marv Wrights and them on Monday and told him what happened. He said, well, you're going to have to gear it like a 4-speed car. You know, it's doesn't have a low gear like a turbo, so it's, you know, it's got a 182 gear or something in it, you know. And he said, that won't work. You're going to have to change something on the car. So we did that, you know, started fooling with it, but I still foot braked it for a long time, you know, and ended up putting the 400 turbo back in it, you know.
Oh, did you?
After a little while, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I let Bridges use the Fire Glide there one time. Put a 4-speed in it, tried to get it in the 7s. I mean, in the 6s, and because I got so close with the automatic, and I was still driving the car on the street. It was street legal, and I could drive it, but I didn't drive it a lot. But I bought a 4-speed from Kenny Schindler and put it in there, and finally got it to go in the 6s after a lot of rebuilding. You know, broke everything under it. And
Yeah, I mean,
well, the 4-speed stuff that tells the truth about the weak stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
it'll find it.
Yep.
Yeah, you learned real quick what wrapping the springs was all about.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It wrapped the springs up on it, throwed the drive shaft out. Didn't break the stage beams. It never moved. It just quivered when I let go of the clutch. I said, "Oh God!"
How hard did you turn it?
Like that. Mike Williamson was up there, and he said, we pushed it up on the trailer. I had to go get the trailer and put it up on there. And I remember he walked around. He was a friend of mine. He run the staging lanes up there at Union Hill. And he come around and he said, where you leave at? And I said, whatever to leave at, you know. I didn't know like that. And I had a Jones tack in. He said the tack set on 9,500.
Oh, wow.
You know.
You've had that Chevy II for a while. So that was your first race car.
Right.
And
Then
so
street car.
Yeah, it was a street car, and then
a street car, and then it was your race car.
Yeah. Put the little slicks on it with the rally wheels and stuff when we go to the hill. Yeah.
Looking back at the National Dragster in the late 70s and 80s, you won a lot in Super Pro with that Chevy II. Do you have any most memorable wins from that era?
In Super Pro?
Mm-hmm. Because I've got I think there's 15 National Dragster would have a reporter, or somebody would always report to the, I've got like 15 of them, and it's like Nolan wins, and this, it's like, man, he won a lot in this little car. So do you have a most memorable win?
I don't hardly remember any of them now.
Yeah, well, I know you won like Super Pro Driver of the Year.
I won that in 78. That's when they voted on it, so the drivers, I think it was mostly the drivers or whatever voted on it at that time. And I don't think I won. I may have won the points that year too. I'm not sure, but I know I got the Super Pro Driver of the Year or whatever. And you know, but it wasn't. I don't think that was points related. I think that was just the drivers voted who they thought was the Driver of the Year. You know.
That's when your peers voted on you.
Yeah.
I think Tucker had gotten one of those, and I know that was real special to him, because that's when all the drivers come in and turn around and vote who they think should win it. So to get that from your peers is really a great honor.
It means a lot then, you know, when you know how they feel about you.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
Right.
You know, that means a lot.
Yeah. So you also ran Super Gas in that car. So what year did Super Gas come into the picture?
I think it came up there in 80, I want to say 82, because I think I won the points in Super Pro in 81, and I still had the small block in it with the big, but it had been back half then. Dewey Knight had back halved it, and we'd done some trading around back and forth on different things, and he kept it 2 or 3 months and back halved it, and we swapped back, you know, so I got it back. But anyway, so I think 82, because I put me and Jerry Norod front half of the car, basically took from the back half part and just put rails and Mustang 2 front end and everything on it and put a big block.
That's when they was popular.
Yeah, put a big block on it with rack and pinion steering and everything. Yeah, we just made the frame come out and fit with the Mustang 2, the width of it and everything. You could put regular headers on it. It was night and day difference working on it. Let's put it like that.
Oh yeah, because you didn't have them inner fender wheels.
Yeah, you didn't have all that, Yeah, so we put a 454 in it. Yeah.
And that was, what was the index on it then?
It was 646.
646.
Yeah, and took
That was before throttle stops and.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a lot of cars that could actually run that fast. There were several that. There was some around, but there wasn't a lot of cars right along in there that were just getting there. And so that's why I didn't think a small block. I didn't think I could get my small block there. 670s as fast as I'd been, and I may have if I'd have cut the car up, like I did. But yeah, I may have lightened it up 200 or 300 pounds. I might have got there, but it'd been pushing it. So we put a big block in it. Figured that'd be easy, and ended up it wouldn't run with a big block in it either. So, it took a while. I had talked to a friend of mine. He would call me. He was a really good guy. He called me a bunch. He'd call me at midnight. Don Young, and he'd been IHR world champ and all this stuff, and we got to know each other just from being at bracket races together. And we were in Byron, Illinois, and each other up there and just different places. But anyway, he was talking to me about it. He kept telling me to put wheelie bars on it, and when I was building it, because he taught me how to build a 427, told me to build the 454. And but when I got it all running, I kept telling him, I said, it doesn't need wheelie bars, it won't run. But it's about 650 as fast as it'll go. Told me what kind of intake to put on it, wanted to know if I had two good carburetors, and told him I had two good 750 double pump carburetors. And he told me to go get this wind intake, some kind of tunnel ram.
That wind intake was popular back then.
Yeah, he said, I think it's for a boat, but he said, get it, all the linkage goes with it and put it on there. And he said, it'll fix it. And it was like we put another motor in it. When I put it on there, yeah, it picked it up 2/10 instantly, and then just tinkering with it a little bit, it finally got to where it would run 6.0s, And I put mufflers on it.
Slow it down?
One ear to slow it down, yeah, just put old thrush mufflers on it, stuck them on it. So, and I did that because he ran them on his Corvette, and I asked him one time why he put mufflers on it, and he said to slow it down a little bit, and I said, okay. So I bought mufflers and stuck on mine. It helped because we didn't have throttle stops, and they, like saying, it helped.
I guess you didn't have delay boxes either.
Nah.
When did that come into play?
That was probably, it wasn't long after that. I'd say probably 80, 85, maybe 86, something. They started coming. They were, I think Diedenbear and them come out with them.
Well, yeah, they probably did.
But
the first one I got, and I got it from Billy Downing, and it was a little old red,
a little orange box,
orange box with a counter that went on some kind of.
You could buy them out at Granger.
Yeah.
I went out there because we put one on Ronnie Perriman's car.
Yeah, that's the first thing I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, they wasn't sophisticated, but when they came out, they, I wasn't a big fan of them. But
and a long time at the hill, we didn't even know what the reaction times were either. When they come out on that piece of paper, boy, I looked at myself and said, man, you've been late for a long time,
That made a lot of
non-drivers,
average drivers when they had a reaction time and then could change it with the box.
Oh yeah.
That made them good drivers. All of a sudden they didn't have
Yeah.
Even if they didn't understand what was causing the reaction time.
Right. Yeah.
It didn't matter. They could put numbers in the box or somebody could help them, and it made a lot of, I think it would be, these young drivers today would be lost. A lot of them would be.
Oh, yeah.
If they didn't have reaction timers and didn't have all electronics. If you said go out there and make your car react,
yeah,
leave on the bottom bulb, see what you can do.
Yeah.
And, we would go racing and you'd have to kind of figure out how to get close to that red light. You know, a lot of people didn't know that. They didn't, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it makes sense. A lot of the super gas cars back then had the little bitty front tires on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
ran real short tires.
Well, see, when it first started super gas, they had a 5/10 street. And then when they moved it to 4/10 street, the first year that the hill, they had it at 5/10. I don't know what it was nationally.
Yeah.
But I think they didn't have 4/10 street at the hill, maybe. But anyway, it was 5/10 street. The next year they come out with 4/10 street, but like the NHRA did, and they but you could go in deep.
Yeah.
You could go deep, knock the top light out.
Yeah.
And that would make up for it, basically.
Right.
You know, you can knock about 800ths off just rolling in there knocking that top light off. You can knock 800ths off your X time. Of course, it slowed the car down, too. The ET on the car didn't make the car any slower.
Right.
It just slowed the ticket down.
Yeah.
You know, so, and like I say, a lot of people didn't understand that at the time, and when they started getting all the electronics, they could look at on paper and figure it out, and it made a lot of good drivers out of them, you know.
Yeah, you can't go deep nowadays.
No, like I say, I did, but see, I foot braked my car the whole time I had the Chevy II, never had a trans brake. Super gas racing,
right.
And I had the 400 turbo in it with the big block. I foot braked it. I could go in and torque it to about 4,000 RPMs on the foot brake, and I'd just bump it in, but I could go deep, so I would just go in one jump and get it, and I'd be ready, you know. And when they took that away, if I'd still had the car, I'd gotten rid of it, but if I'd still had the car, I would have had to change that, you know.
Right.
I'd had to figure out a way to make it react.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a two-step in it or nothing. You just roll it in at 4,000.
Yeah, I'd bump it up 4,000 in the pre-stage and just jump in there and get it, because I'd have people that knew I foot braked, you know. They say, you just go in and get ready. You know, you're going deep, you go and get ready. And I tell them, no, you do what you do, and when I go in, I'll be ready.
Right.
You know, because mine was already up on the converter, everything. I'll be ready.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, that seemed like it worked for you pretty well, because it seems like you won as super gas driver of the year 2 or 3 times or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know one year there we were really lucky with it. I think it was 83. I know by August, they used to run it a lot. They run it 3 or 4 times a month, you know.
Right.
They run super gas just like they did the rest of the program. They still had combo and they'd still run everything. And I know at one point there, I had won 9 out of the first 11 super gas races.
Okay.
Oh.
Was that with your car?
With my car, yeah. Yeah, with my Chevy II. I'd won 9 out of the first 11. And, you know, and I was so far ahead in the points, you know, I could go race Edgewater. I went to Edgewater and raced, and I'd go, you know, different places, because then I wanted to see how I'd do when I went out.
Local. I mean,
yeah, when I went away from home, you know,
Yeah, right.
see, you know, go race people I'd never seen before or never seen me, you know. Of course, I didn't realize then a lot of people looked at the National Dragster. You know, I had friends that raced that I never raced against that would call me from Georgia, you know, and say, I see you won another. I'm going to have to come up there. I'm going to have to come, you know, I'm coming up there and run super gas, you know, and stuff like that. You know, they were, you know, they keep up. Yeah, and it still surprises me today how many people
They keep up with
they
it.
keep up. Yeah, they know, you know.
They know who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah, drag racing has gotten to where, that National Dragster keeps tabs on everybody.
Yeah. Like say it was a lot better, I thought, when they did the local tracks, when they had coverage.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
you could see who was winning it.
Yeah.
You know, any of the local tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the national events were kind of just once a month. You know, they would kind of show you where there would be a small part of it. Now the national events have taken it over, and there's no local track information.
No, I think they kind of quit in the 90s on that.
Yeah, they did.
Somewhere around in there,
Yeah.
they quit that.
Yeah, like say I thought it was better then, because you could.
That's when I went through there and got all them clippings and
Yeah,
all.
you would know who did what in Atlanta or, you know, in Florida or whatever, you know, and because then when I'd go out of town, I would see David Simmons or Sherman Adcock or somebody like that running super gas. I'd already know who they are. you know, but in turn, they knew who I was, you know. I mean, because they had seen the same thing the other way, you know. So I thought that was cool. You'd race people you only read about,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So now it's just they just mention or they just do the national events.
Yeah, points meets and national events. Some of the national opens, you know, but it's more of a national or localized divisional type thing, you know. It's not like say you don't ever see anything from Union Hill or Music City. You know, you don't ever see anything. Even before they went to IHRA, you didn't ever see anything in there from them, you know. You'd see at the end of the year the bracket cars would go to Florida or wherever they went and run that big race. You see that, you know, and then if some of them went to Las Vegas or wherever they go now, we used to go to Gainesville every year.
Now, did you take your Chevy II there?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You ran that Chevy II quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I ran it. I had it about 12 years, and then just decided I needed something smaller, you know, lighter, because that's what the class, when they come out with the class, they said 2,100 pounds with the driver. Well, you know, mine was 3,000 pounds with me in it, you know. So and you know, you felt like it was a disadvantage, and I'd had the car a long time. Just decided I'd try something else, you know, and then I wished I had never got rid of it, but I think a lot of people do that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Get rid of it and then say, I should have kept that car, you know.
So what was your next car?
I had a little Opel.
That was an Opel.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought a little Opel from Frank Ferris and Gene Steele. I carried it to Bowling Green. I mentioned Gene Steele. Me and him ended up he fixed the front end under it and put the coilovers and everything, but I had carried it to Bowling Green and put my motor in it, and it didn't like my motor. It tried to twist it in two.
Didn't handle good.
Yeah, no, you couldn't
So you
drive.
put the big block in the Opel?
Yeah, I put the big block with the tunnel ram and everything that come out of the Chevy II, and it'd run 6 O's in it, and then I put it over in the Opel, and it was too much for it. It didn't like it, you know. It had a straight axle and stuff under it when I bought it.
Did he have a small?
He had a 427 in it.
No, did he?
Yeah, he had a 427 in it, but because he was at Bowling Green when I carried it up there to test it, he wanted to go watch, and I couldn't get it. I could barely get it 60 feet. It would try to just twist it up, and I said, you know, and he said, well, you just don't know how to drive it. And I said, there it is. You go make a hit. You know, he said, oh, no, I don't want to, you know. But I thought, you know, I knew it wasn't me, you know, but the car it didn't. But like say, I carried it to Gene, and he worked on it, I don't know, a couple of weeks or something, and we cut it off at the seat and put it all out there, and struts and everything on it, and shoot, it drove great then. They'd run 570 back in 84, you know.
Oh, that's flying back in 84.
Yeah, it was fast, you know. You know, little bitty car, like I say, I put fiberglass doors, and it had fiberglass front end on it. When I got it, I put fiberglass doors and everything on it, and blew one of them off at Bowling Green.
Oops.
At 150 miles an hour. You know, it would run right at 9 flat at 150,
really? Yeah.
And she was up there, and Diane was there. Just as I hit the finish line, the door pulled open on it like that, and they just sucked it off and blew the back glass out of it. You know, it looked like it exploded.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Driver's door or the passenger door?
The passenger door went out, and I went down there and asked Dallas, we was at Bowling Green bracket racing, and I asked Dallas, I said, can I still race it? He said, yeah, you can still run it. I can't, because it was the other door, you know, everything made it a lot easier to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess did that help you learn to drive the finish line?
No, I could already do that. I had figured that out early, I think.
So how did you learn to drive it? Because it's kind of like, it just seems like everything happens so fast.
Yeah.
And you're looking and there's a stripe. And then you're looking and there's a stripe. I guess it's like, how did you get there? Because I've heard a lot of stories about you driving the finish line.
You know, I don't know. I don't ever remember how I just could do it. You know, when we got there, when they started giving you ETs, and when I started bracket racing and running, when it first started, everybody would dial down 2 or 3. They'd make their fastest time trial, and they'd dial down 2. And that's the way everybody thought the way you did it, you know. Well, it didn't take long to figure that out, you know. You were giving away 6 feet, 5 or 6 feet at the finish line, you know. And, you know, you start dialing closer to what you thought the car would run and run down there. And I just, like say I'd driven that Chevy II enough, I knew where the front wheels were, and I could just glance over and see. And I was lucky enough, I usually had the faster car for a lot of the bracket racing that I did. I'd be in the faster end of it. There'd be 4 or 5 cars maybe faster than me, but, you know, usually there wasn't that much faster if they were faster, you know. So you could judge them coming. It's not like now, you know.
Well, I know with Chevy IIs, I've heard a lot of people complain, I got around you, but you got to get around that front bumper almost, and the front bumper and the front wheel is so close together.
On that Chevy II, yeah.
Yeah, like say I've, you know.
Now with the Opel, it had a longer front end on it.
Yeah.
So would that made it more difficult, or?
You know, I guess I must have drove where my feet were close to where the wheels were. So and then the Opel was basically the same way. It seemed like my feet were out close to where the front tires were, you know, when I was sitting in the car. So I just kind of judged it off that. If I thought my feet were in front of them, or, you know, or I'd make sure my foot was in front of them and I'd have a wheel on them, you know, something like that. But I could see better.
Did you keep that car very long?
I didn't keep the Opel long. I went from it to the Dynasty car.
Okay.
Well, I remember hearing a story about being in the Opel, and you took out first gear. I guess the band broke in low gear.
Oh yeah.
And Glenn Nash.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was helping you dial it that night.
Yeah. We were at Clarksville one night, and I come out of the water and pulled it back in low and didn't have any low gear. So I staging it. I think I was running Terry Nolen's in time trial, last time trial at Clarksville. And I said, well, I'll just see what it'd do, take off in high gear, you know. So I just staged it, left it in high gear. And of course, I foot braked it anyway. So I left, and it just rolled out there and then took off, you know, because it run 570, like I say. Well, it run 617 or something like that, but it still run 122 mile an hour.
Wow.
It still run the mile an hour because the car was so light. You know, so we ran it like that, and I come back to the trailer, and I said, well, I'm gonna run it. I just dial it up and run it. So the first round, you get around there and figure out who you got, and I just spot them 500s, you know. So I made that pass, and I just get in front of them and back up to them and just ride along with them because I was about the fastest car there. I think Bradford had one a little faster, and it worked out. But I think second round, Glenn Nash started helping me. He had gotten beat, and he come over and he said, you just get in the car, because I said, we were talking about it, and I said, I don't know who I have because the way they were pulling them out, you know, you don't know till you're ready to pull to the water almost. And he said, well, I'll dial you in. He said, where you want to dial in? I said, just give them 500s, whoever it is, I don't care. You know, just dial it up 500s. If they run 715, dial me 17. He said, okay. You know, so that's what we did. And I think I finally got down to about 4 or 5 cars or something. I had to run John Bradford, and his car would run like 612. And he come over, he said, well, you want to dial in? Like that. He said, you can't spot him 500, you know. I said, no. I said, I don't care. Just pick a number. You know, it doesn't make any difference to me. You know, I'm just driving the finish line anyway. You know, I just get in front of him and back up to him.
Right.
And he said, okay. So he dialed like 675 just out of the blue, you know. I said, okay, like that. And we ran, and John caught me really early. I mean, as soon as the car landed, he was almost beside me. And then mine was started pulling. And I could out mile an hour in about 2 or 3 mile an hour, you know. So I just backed up to him, and we went through, and I beat him, you know. But
so you dialed it. You've been dialing it 615s and 620s, and
well, it would run 617 on that time trial I run, but then after that, if they run 785, didn't matter what they ran, I spot them 500s, and I'd tell him if they dial up, because after about 3 rounds, some of them figured out what I was doing because they knew the car would run 570s, you know, but they knew it was broke. So they didn't know what I was actually doing. So they just, so some of them would dial up 5 you know. And I told him, I said, if they dial up, spot them 10, you know. We'll just go that way, you know, because if they're dialing up, chances are I can break them out, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if I back up to them, we'll figure it out, you know, when we get down there. And it just worked out, like I say. But, you know, I used to tell people, I said, I won a lot more races at the finish line than I did the starting line, you know. I could make it.
He wasn't just holding 3 numbers or 4 numbers.
No, like I say, but I remember the transmission stunk so bad. I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
You know. And,
it was boiling up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it stunk inside the car. My suit stunk, everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I come home that night. I got runner-up. I come home, I red light in the finals. I come home that night and called, Fred didn't work on Saturdays, so I didn't want to bother him, but Jimmy Mitchell, I'd known him for a while, and I called him, and I knew they worked Saturday mornings. And I told him what I'd done. He said, bring it down here. I said, I'd like to get it fixed where I can get it back in the car and go to the hill, you know. And he said, bring it down here. And I carried it in. He said, oh, my goodness. You know, he said, you know what you've done? I said, well, I got runner-up, you know, like that. And he said, you burnt this thing completely up, you know. And I saw him a few days after that. He fixed it, flushed the converter 3 or 4 times, and finally got it all fixed up and put it back together, fixed it. I put it back in the car and went to the hill. But he... 2 or 3 days later, I went down there, was talking to him, and he said, my shop still stinks. He said, I cannot get the smell out of it. He said, that thing's awful. He said, don't do that. I said, I was already there.
He still got that transmission shop too, had
Yeah,
he sure does.
He does a lot of towing stuff now. He's got all big towing companies, but I don't know if he's at the transmission place as much. Him and his brother did have it, you know. But yeah, but
he's the one that had the yellow Monza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had yellow and blue.
Yeah.
His little boy used to help him. I remember his little boy used to help him on the water burnouts. He'd have a Coke bottle or something one night up there at the hill. He didn't even dump it under the tire. He just dumped it in that wheel. That water. He just went in that wheel. Yeah.
Well, what were some of the standout cars you drove for other people? And did you ever have any surreal or unexpected moments while racing those cars?
I drove for several people. Drove for Rick Lauper and Freddie Martin some, and for several years there. And then ended up later on driving for Rick for a few years. Drove for Jerry Corlew. Drove the Dynasty car. I wrecked 2 of his cars.
Well, yeah, I remember the Dynasty, the Monza.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of pictures of that. That car it looked pretty sharp.
Where did that car come from, Terry?
It was a Hardy car.
Yeah, I knew it was a Hardy.
Yeah, it was a Hardy car. I'm thinking it was one of Trimble's cars or
was
something.
it?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but it had the Linko and everything in it, and Bobby Blankenship had driven it. And they were splitting up for whatever reason. They'd been together for a while. And I had carried the Opel to Indy. He said, we're going to do it after Indy. He said, Bobby wants to go to Indy. I said, okay. I said, you know, I had a car, you know, so anyway, but he had called and talked to me, and he said, just come to the hill. I'll bring it to the hill the weekend after Indy, and you can drive it around and see what you think. If you're interested, you know, you can drive it. And I said, all right. So I went up there and drove it that night running super gas, you know, everything. He said, you can just go ahead and sell your stuff, get rid of it. He said, you can drive this one, you know. So I held on to my Opel for a little while, and then I think it was later. I think it was the next year. I don't remember when I wrecked. I think I wrecked it in '85 though. I may have wrecked it that year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'd driven it just a few times. I don't remember if it was a year later or if it was that year, but we'd gone several places with it, and then they were running at Riverside, and they were running a heads up, so much per cubic inch, so much weight per cubic inch. And they had been inviting people. Curtis would invite certain ones down there, and he never did call me. And I finally called him, and he said, y'all are too fast, you can't come, you know, it won't be fair, you know. And I said, well, we'll put the little motor in it, the 427 in it. And I said, it you know.
What motor was you running in it?
Most of the time I run 427 in it, but we did run the 454 in it quite a bit. My motor, we put my motor in it and run it in there quite a bit. But we had, like I say, we went down there and it would run 930 then, you know, it'd run 590s with the 427 in it, you know, right in that range. And so we were probably still faster than most of them. I know Ronnie Duke's car was pretty fast, you know, but there were several that were down there. And it was basically just super gas cars was what they got down there. And we went down there and run it and ended up, I got in the finals and the car got loose. Like I say, just going down the track, they had broke a motor in front of me. And they told us finally to go ahead.
Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of track
No, I
prep and stuff back then.
Yeah, I didn't say too much about Curtis, but I didn't think they cleaned the track I didn't think they had done much to it because they didn't spend no time on it.
Right.
Because I was coming out of the water and they stopped us, and then wasn't just a few minutes and we were going again, you know. But anyway, just happened to be in my lane. But I mean, I got down to probably a little past 8th mile. The car kind of moved toward the center line, you know, and I kept trying to pull it back and easing it back, and it wouldn't come back. And I finally let off the gas. When I did, it jumped back straight. I got it back in the middle of the track, and I looked around. I was running Jerry Duke in Ronnie his car, and I was ahead of
his little Vega back then.
Yeah, that was what
the
he
wheels
was
and
in.
deals one.
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I was ahead of him pretty good, and I looked, and he wasn't beside me, and competitiveness kicks back in. And I jumped back on the gas, and when I did, it broke the tires loose. And it just come around, and then I got out of it, and it wouldn't catch itself. And I was right at the finish line, it cocked sideways and went off out through the field. And
how fast were you going?
It went through the lights at 143.
Oh.
Wow. And it was cocked sideways and barely missed the scoreboards. You know, the poles, the big poles that hold the scoreboard. Right. I barely missed those and hit the ditch and shot the car up in there. They said it went up about as high as the scoreboards. Man. And then just kind of rolled over and come down. It hit right there because when everything went quiet, I kind of had my eyes closed because I knew when I lost it the second time, I knew it was wrecked. You know, I just kind of tightened up and held on, you know, and I opened my eyes and the ground was coming at me, you know. So it flipped and barrel rolled out through there, knocked me out.
Well, they didn't have like a funny car cage and that type of roll bar.
It had another roll bar. It had a metal cage here, like where the window net goes. Uh-huh. They had built that car really strong, and it had another bar that come down here, almost like a funny car cage, but it didn't have it on this side.
It didn't have the hoop.
Yeah, it didn't have the hoop, but it came down this way and had a metal cage, but they still made you run the net.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, Hardy, he built a lot of good cars. Yeah. Well, they were pro stock cars. Yeah. Probably what it was.
Yeah. Like I say, it hit right on the corner, pushed that in a little bit, but I mean, the pictures were, of course, I didn't know what happened. You know, I woke up, I was hanging upside down and in pain, and they finally got me out of the car. I could hear them talking, couldn't respond. Just, I'd never been knocked out, never, you know, had anything like that. So, and I just knew I was hanging upside down, and my mind was trying to process what had happened, you know. And I heard them say, "We'll cut the seatbelts," and I thought, that won't be good, you know, probably break my neck, you know. Right now, I don't think I'm hurt, you know. But somebody crawled in under me. I never knew who it was. Nobody ever told me, or, you know, they got in under me, and they finally got the belts open because they had the aircraft thing you turn it and hit it, and it'd pop all the belts loose. And they pulled me out, put me out on the ground, you know, and waiting on the ambulance, I guess. But I come to, James Beasley was wiping my face, you know, everything. He's down right in my face, asked me where I was hurt, you know, and I'd wake up and grab my shoulder, you know. So, like I say, it was.
So you got to spend a couple of days in the hospital after that.
Yeah. She was there. My son was there. I think that's the only race I remember him ever going to. He came that one time, and he was a 6 years old, maybe. Yeah, 6, 7 years old. He might have been 8, but anyway, he came and she run off and left him on the bleachers because she wasn't used to him being there. And when it wrecked, everybody started running down the track, and Gene Steele stopped and got him on his 4-wheeler and put him on the 4-wheeler and brought him down there. And then, like I say, they got me out of the car and was putting me in the ambulance. And she'd tell you, she still brings that up. She said I come to and woke up and looked at her and said, "Did I win?" Like that. She said, "Yeah, you won. Was it worth it?" And I said, "I guess as long as I won,
Where'd they carry you to then?
They carried me to St. Thomas, I think.
St. Thomas, yeah, that's right.
I think that's where I went out there. Yeah. And I stayed out there for a few days. And then...
Well, they probably wanted to look at that concussion, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like I say, the doctor then, he told me, he said, "You aged all your joints probably 15 years, because the car barrel rolled." And he said it was trying to sling you apart. And my torso was stuck in, and of course my knees and everything flopped around, cut my legs a little bit, just banging around. But I was really in good shape. I mean, I was really lucky, and I knew I was. But as soon as we got out of the hospital, I left the hospital and we drove to Jerry's house over there and
to look,
at the car. Yeah. Oh, wow. She drove me out there.
By them pictures, it didn't have no sheet metal on it, did it?
No, you couldn't tell what it was if you didn't know what it was, probably, but it, and I was just kind of astonished, that I made it through it, and then we put it was in Jerry's garage out there off Charlotte, off Davidson out there. He lived across town. And after my shoulder got better, we started, me and Jerry, and then Ronnie Perriman and Tom Pope would just about go out there every day. And they helped a bunch. I mean, they put,
So y'all rebuilt that car?
We rebuilt that car.
Wow.
And put the Buick chassis, put the Buick body on it. We rebuilt Tom could weld a little bit. We all had ideas to fabricate, how to do stuff. And Perriman could, he's really talented. He could do a lot. And me and Perriman worked together at Avco. We worked out there at Avco at the same time. And so he would come out there a lot. And then he lived in Smyrna, so he would have to drive all the way back almost from Murfreesboro, And we'd work on it till 10 o'clock, every night. We'd get off work at 3 o'clock, 3:30. We'd go straight out there and start working on it. And Jared'd come in. When he got off work, he worked at Friendly's. And, he'd sit out there and we would come up. When he come up with the Buick body, we started trying to figure out how to mount it,
Yeah.
And then he wanted it to come off like a funny car.
Yeah.
Where you could lift the body off of it. And then we decided, well, if the body's going to come off of it, we need to be able to drive it anyway, just where you could move it around and you didn't unhook all electrical connections, so we made it where the body would come off and you could still get in the car and drive it around,
Oh, wow.
and move it. So
that's cool.
Yeah. It got a lot of attention, when we first got it done. We carried it to Gainesville, and Jerry liked to take it. He was a really good guy, and he really liked racing, but he really wanted it to showcase the car. And the car got a lot of attention, So we went to Gainesville and pulled everything off of it, and set the body up and everything. And people, stop and take pictures, and everybody was looking, and he had T-shirts he gave away, and just, it was something, But we actually talked to Buick, come out there. One of the Buick reps come over there and was trying to get us to put a V6 in it. And
really?
Buddy Ingersoll was down there, and he had told me, he asked me what size motor was in it, and then we had the 427 in it. And he said, "What does it run?" I said, "It runs 9.0s,
Right.
like that." And he said, "I can put a naturally aspirated V6 in it, run that fast." Like that. And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, "You can do it, and we'll run it C altered or something." It was going to be some kind of altered type. He said, "But you have to get rid of the Linko." He said they take up too much horsepower. He said a V6 can't afford that, you know. So then we talked about it, and Jerry was kind of interested, and then they started talking about, you know, they'd give us all the parts. They would give us everything, but then we'd have to do all the machine work and do everything, and you're going to have to change so much stuff on the car, everything. It wasn't going to be worth it, you know. Jerry didn't think it'd be worth it.
I think Ingersoll, he run double B
altered
with that Buick.
Yeah. Then he put it in pro stock for a while, and I had got to know him because of that talk about the Buick. And so we'd talk every time we'd go to he run a bunch of IHRA stuff because they wouldn't let him in NHRA.
Yeah, I saw a YouTube a documentary on him, and they was talking about how they wouldn't let him run NHRA, but IHRA let him run something along that line.
Yeah, he could run with the pro stocks and IHRA, and but that car was awesome. But like say you go over there and he'd have the motors were this big. You know, I mean, it was amazing to me. And of course, they had the twin turbos and stuff on, intercooler and stuff on them. So you know.
Yeah, he was definitely, compared to now, was ahead of his time.
I tell you what, even when he ran super stock, I knew him from early 70s and stuff when he ran super stock with a Oldsmobile. He had an Oldsmobile. That's the first time I remember ever seeing him. And he would run he run the same class Larry C run. They run super stock O or something.
Super stock O.
Like that. And they went somewhere, and I heard the story. They said they went somewhere and C would go out there and set the record, you know, and Ingersoll just go back and drop it 300 or 400.
That's right. It was a white Oldsmobile.
Yeah, white. Yeah. And they did that 2 or 3 times, and said finally Ingersoll told him, said, I can do this all day. You know, if you can, I can. And he was the one who set the record for it. And then they changed his class. They horsepowered that one combination in Oldsmobile, but he had like the 70, 71, 72 Cutlass is what it was. Well, he just changed the emblem on it and made it a different gear. And they went back to the next race, and then they already figured out they wasn't going to let him do that. You know?
Right.
You know, but that thing was really fast because they bump him up a class, he'd set the record in that class. They bump him up another, he'd set the record again because it had a 350, and it was just, so he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, compared to now, because I don't think that was 80, or was that? No,
that was probably in the 70s then when Larry C and them run that car, and that car, you know, it don't sound fast now, but it probably run 1140s, you know, for a 350 Oldsmobile, but it was probably 3,600 pounds, you know, 3,700 pounds. But it run with the 283 Chevy IIs that were 600 pounds lighter, 700 pounds lighter, you know. But he ran that Pinto. He ran a Pinto with the turbos in it and stuff. And you know, I talked to him about it, you know, because I was just amazed, you know. So after I got to know him, I'd ask him questions, you know, and he'd sit down and talk to you, you know. He was just like us talking, you know. But he said that Pinto motor, he said, I run it. And he said it
was that the 2300 Pinto motor?
Yeah, it was a little Pinto motor, and he said, I run it. He said I go to the junkyard and get them. He said basically he put a junkyard motor in it. He said I make sure it's got rings and bearings in it, all the parts look good. And he said I put my head and turbocharger on it.
Yeah.
Like that. And he said, as long as it don't hurt my head, I don't care what happens to the block. You know, the motor, he said, I blow it up good, as long as it don't hurt my head. You know, he said, I can get those. But he said it just, I think he was amazed how fast that turbo actually made them things run.
His son is on Elite's. He's a
pro stock. He's a pro stock.
Yeah, he's a guru on
he's
Elite.
a pro stock crew chief or something. And he's over a bunch of the Elite cars. He's smart like his dad. I mean, he's
just crazy to think that he's doing all that stuff without computers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Was it fuel injected or was it carbureted?
It was I think it was a carbureted car.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
With a turbocharger on it. Yeah.
Like say, I saw him buckle the roof on that Regal at Bristol, you know, because used to you could set up in the bleachers at Bristol, you kind of look down on the starting line, you know, and he was running pro stock, and I had went down there to watch something. I like to watch pro stock run like that, and that thing left and rattled the tires, and the roof rippled in it like that, and he just coasted down through there, and I went over to his trailer when he come back around. I said, what happened? He said, I couldn't see. He said, that thing shook so hard. He said, I couldn't. He said,
Tire shake?
He said, I was probably finish line before I could see good. You know, he said, so I just idled down through there. You know, it just tire shake so bad. But like I say, you meet a lot of interesting people that you didn't have a chance to meet, you know. You know, I met Bob Glidden through Jerry, you know, running the Linko stuff and everything. So I mean, he's a workaholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Who Glidden was?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I've heard that about him.
He worked all the time, you know. He wouldn't talk to you in the pits. If you went over him, if he knew you, he wouldn't acknowledge you was even standing there because you had a little rope up. But, you know, then when he got done, he talked to you then. But he was going to do what he was doing. He was at work. That's why he'd look at it. He was at work. He was there racing. He was at work, you know.
He wasn't easily distracted.
No. You know, he was focused, you know.
Well, he was there to win a race.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that's how he made his living, through sponsors and stuff. And so to him, he was at work. You know, like I say, he helped me with the Linko a couple of times, you know. But I'd just ask him a question, he'd tell me what it was, and I'd say, I already looked at that, you know. And he'd say, okay, you know, and just kind of, you know, like that. So you knew, you know, he didn't have time to sit there and argue with you. He knew what it was. He told you what it was. Believe me, don't believe me, he didn't care, you know. Just so I'd go do what he told me to do, and you know, come back over and bought a Sprag from him one time at Indy or somewhere at the points meet, and we put it in and fixed it. You know, we've been fighting that car for 2 weeks. Corlew told me, he said, go over and ask him. You know, he said, go ask Glidden what he thinks it is, because it acted like we had the trailer hooked to it when we'd let go of the clutch. It would just wouldn't run in low gear. You put it in second, it'd take off. You know, it just like it's bound up. And we couldn't figure out, and I'd had the Linko part and checked it and couldn't find nothing wrong with it. Put it back together. Wasn't nothing burnt, wasn't nothing. I couldn't see anything. And he said, you got Sprag flipped over. And that's all he said. He said, low gear Sprag's flipped over. I said, I didn't see it. When I took it off, I looked at it.
What,
said,
upside down or
he said,
around
okay,
wrong?
yeah, well, they'll just turn one way
Yeah.
like that. Well, when they flip over, they'll go bypass that. They're over on the other side of where those things rock back and forth like that. And he said, okay. So I went and told Corlew, and he said, did you ask him if he had one? And I said, no. He said, I went back over and he said, yeah, I got one like that. Handed it to me, you know. And I went over and pulled it out, fixed it, you know, put it in there. They just slid in, you know, they just held on. But retainers, just slid it in there and it fixed it. And then we had to start adjusting the car back down, trying to slow it back down. You know?
So the Dynasty car had a Linko in it?
Yeah.
And the Buick also had the same
Yeah.
Linko.
Yeah. Had a Linko in it too.
What happened with the Buick?
I wrecked it in Huntsville about a year and a half later. And we went down there. Like I say, the first one was probably on me, just too competitive, still in front and jump back on the gas. But at Huntsville, we were bracket racing it, because we bracket raced it a lot. And we were bracket racing down there, and I run a guy, I think we were down like a 560 something, you know, and the guy was down like 630 something. And we left, and when I put it in second, I thought I probably gonna catch him, you know, just judging where he was. He wasn't far enough away, I didn't think. And when I put it in third gear, the car raced up in the back end, and while my mind was trying to process what that was, it turned left and went into the guardrail and flipped upside down. So I never did know for sure what happened, but I think it broke a heim joint, you know, in the back end on the ladder bar. It had a ladder bar suspension. I think it broke a heim joint, and it just turned the rear end around.
Did that just total that car then?
Yeah. Well, they rebuilt it. Somebody got it and rebuilt it.
Did they?
Yeah, they rebuilt it and raced it. It might have been, I think Rick Schaefer ended up with that car for a little while. I think he ended up with it for a while, raced it some. Of course, they just put automatic and stuff back in it, you know, but it was all fiberglass, so it didn't tear it up as bad. It tore the front end up where it got in under the guardrail, knocked the motor out of it, broke the motor plates and stuff like that. But as far as chassis wise, other than the front clip running out there, it probably didn't hurt it near as bad. The first one tried to destroy it. The second one just
Roughed it up.
roughed it up, made me mad. You know, I wasn't hurt. I was just aggravated. I was just mad because I wrecked it again.
Yeah.
And I hated tore his car up. You know, and then I think he just had enough,
Right.
which I didn't blame him. I just,
He never did build nothing else after that.
nah, I think he'd had enough. He enjoyed it. Of course, he was getting older too. I don't remember how much older he was than me, but he was getting older, and traveling was getting harder, but I mean, he made it a long time, and he just passed away here not too long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
But like I say, he was a really good guy. I used to get tickled because we broke something, whatever it was. If the water pump went out, he'd buy 2 of them. If we broke a heim joint, he'd buy all of them in spares. Anything that went wrong, we'd fix what broke and have a spare. And it was like that. The trailer was like a parts house. And everybody got to where they knew that, so if anybody broke anything, they would start coming over there, because we'd have ring gear and pinions, we'd have, axle, he had everything, so I mean, it was a really nice high dollar car for its period in time. Yeah. I mean, where everybody else had $8,000 car, $10,000 car if you had a pretty good one. That was probably a $25,000 or $30,000 car, at that time. I mean, it was.
Yeah, because there's no telling what that car cost.
It was a high dollar piece.
Oh, especially in today's money.
Yeah, I mean,
Hardy,
it's no telling what, Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it was a high dollar piece, and like I say, it got a lot we carried it to car shows, we carried it to Hunter's car show, took it all apart out there, and it won something out there. We had Carcraft or Hot Rodding or something. Somebody looked at it at St. Louis, and we carried it to the other end of the track there and took it all apart for them. And they took pictures and talked to us and everything, and never did anything with it. I never did see anything.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, they were amazed how the car came apart, because 2 people could take it apart in, 5 minutes. You have it down to the bare cage, thing.
So it made it easy to work on.
Oh yeah. Like I say, we could, we thought it out. Like I say, Tom and Perriman, and everybody, and Tom Pope and Ronnie Perriman, and all of us, when we'd get together, we'd start.
Old Tom, he's pretty slick.
Yeah, he is.
Tom.
Like I say, and they kind of offset each other, because Ronnie would do it really nice, and Tom would do it and get it done. They would kind of offset each other, but they both had really good ideas, and like I say, and we made the car as easy to work on. Like I say, me and Ronnie changed the clutch in it at Clarksville one night between rounds. We changed the clutch in 18 minutes. From the time it stopped rolling till it moved. Again, we changed the clutch in it.
Man.
That's NASCAR stuff right there.
Yeah,
That's
like I say, we got to where I changed motors in it at the races, put another motor in it. Something happened and you couldn't dial it in, you didn't know what was wrong with the engine, we just pull the engine out, put another in it, and go from there, because we carry a spare motor with us all the time. So, we'd break a clutch every once in a while. Most of the time that happened in opportune times, but like I say, it was easy to work on. You could.
Now, I guess back then that was just a single disc clutch, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a lot of spring pressure to it too. Because then we didn't know any better, so we were trying to dead hook the car to make it react on super gas, and that was probably wrong. Our thinking was probably wrong at the time. But there wasn't anybody to ask, because nobody else was running the clutch much.
Yeah, you probably didn't run a diaphragm clutch. You ran them finger clutches.
The finger clutches, yeah. Like saying we were trying to dead hook it. So in our mind, that was what you want to do, make it go, just not turn a tire and move. And the car didn't like that, Like say, it'd break a clutch every once in a while. I broke one at St. Louis at 4 cars, at the national event. Come out of the water, didn't have a clutch. And bumped it up there. I was running McGuire. I'm trying to think of his first name, but he was number 1, number 2 in the country at the time. And Don Strickland was up there, and there was somebody else in it, but I knew those 2. I knew McGuire and Strickland, and I had to run McGuire, and he was leading the points and everything then. And I just come out of the water. Couldn't figure out what to do. I shut the car off, and then I bumped it in with the starter and pre-staged it. And then when he pre-staged, I bumped it in with the starter, turned the second light on, put it in neutral and started it like that. And when he staged, I put it on the mat, just like I was leaving, like that. And when the lights come on, he took, he left. Of course, I couldn't go nowhere. I just let it idle back down, shut it off, put it in low gear, and cranked it, and it took off. And with Blinko, you could just change the gears. It just go on down the track, like that. And I watched McGuire run all the way down through there, and he run right to the finish line and dropped it like that. And he went like one or two over, and I said, didn't you know I was broke? He said, I figured you'd be coming. Like that. He said, I figured you'd be coming down through there. And I said, you left, I still sitting there. I wasn't gonna catch you. But he said, what would you have done? You couldn't have fixed it. You gonna give him a buy run? I said, I'd have had the clutch in it. I said, I could have fixed it. He said, really? I said, oh yeah. I said, I could have had it done in 20 minutes. I said, I'd had the tunnel out of it before we got back up the track. I'd have had all that stuff out of the way. Like that. He said, oh. I said, I can fix it.
So you also drove, it's my cousin Ricky. Well, Rick Lauper's little Vega.
Yeah.
Now, did you win a Wally in that one?
Yeah, I won a bunch of races with that car, bracket races and everything, but we went to Bristol and won an IHRA race. It was IHRA Fall Nationals at Bristol. And we went up there. The car would run, it had a 350 in it. It was a small block car. Reacted really good, drove really good, won, like I say, we won a bunch of races with it. But we went up there, and that's when just throttle stops were just starting to get more prevalent, in super gas. And all of a sudden, there was cars running 155 and 150. They were running super comp speeds in super gas, and we couldn't run but about 142, 3 maybe, something like that. And we got to talking about it. After, I think we made a time trial. We might not have made one. We just got talking about it, and I said, we need to show them something different. I said, because these fast cars, I said, they're just going to roll up there on me. If they beat me on a tree a little bit, they're going to roll up there on me and just back up to me and drive through. I said, because that's what I'd do, if I was doing it like that. So we decided, got talking about it, and we had a throttle stop on it, so we changed it to where it would leave wide open and run out there to about 8th mile. It'd stay on 6.5 seconds, 7 seconds or something, then it would shut the car off. It'd shut the timer, pull the throttle back closed for like 2.5 seconds. And then I had it where it'd come back on. So it gave them something different to look at, So the car reacted good, so I could hit the tree. And in the car, it was funny for me because I was just coasting out there at 1,000 feet, 1,150 feet or so. I still just coasting, had my foot on the floor, and it's just shutting down, idling. And I'd watch the cars come up to me, and they would come running up, and some of them they'd nose the car down like I expected them to, They'd nose the car down and start to come by me, and it would come back off throttle stop at the last 100 feet, 150 feet, and it would jump, Well, then in their mind, they didn't know what happened, And so they would either jump on the gas or they'd jump on the brake harder. They'd just go ahead and bring it on down, So, and I told Rick, I said, it's funny to watch them, because all of them respond differently. Somebody run up there to me and I'd see them jump on the gas. Well, when they jump back on the gas, I'd just run them down there a little ways and I'd drop them, let them go, and they'd break out, because I felt like I'd beat them on the tree. So we had the car set up just 200 or 300 quick, so I could drop it right in the lights and it'd run dead on, I think I ran 990 with a 0 the first round, and in the final round I went 990 with a 0, 2 times in a row in the same race. And I was dropped, but the last time I killed a little over 10 mile an hour, right at 10 mile an hour, and dropped it on a 0, But,
oh, wow.
But they were hot lapping us, then it got late and everything, and the guy was running around 145, something like that. So when we crossed the finish line, I went 119, he went 145.
Wondering what happened.
Yeah, like I say, and it was funny, like I say, I was 002 on the tree, and he was 400, he was trip zip, and I was 002. And you know, and the announcer was announcing. Of course, I couldn't hear it. I saw it later. But, you know, got down there and I kept watching for him to come, waiting for him to come. And I got on the brakes and just timed it just right where we hit the finish line right together. But I had killed a bunch of ET like that. And he was dead zero. He was trip zip on the tree and one over with a 1. He went 91-1. So he had 11,000 package and I had a 2,000 package, you know. And so I said, well, that's a good way to win your first big race like that, you know, and on TV. And it was on ESPN2. Of course, then everybody didn't get it. A friend of mine taped it, videoed it with a video camera and sent me the tape, you know, off the TV, you know. He thought that was cool, you know. Of course,
yeah, that's really cool.
I've had people send it to me now, you know. Years past, you know, they keep sending it to me every once in a while. Somebody run across it somewhere and send it to me, you know.
So, what car did you go to after that? Is that the Camaro that you had?
After the Vega?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, I drove Gary Sykes' car for 2 or 3 months there one year. You know, we won a points meet with it and some super gas races. Yeah, I won an IHR points meet with it.
Which car was that?
He had a red 68, 7 or 8 Camaro.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd run it, and so that's really about all I drove for other than a one day at a time type deal. I'd break something, somebody'd give me a car, you know. But I did drive his car and did pretty good with it. And but then after the Camaro, after the Vega, we raced a little bit. Well, no, right after that, after we won that race there, I think I went back to Darlington the next year, the first of the year, and I think I borrowed your Suburban.
Yeah.
I think I used your Suburban, maybe your trailer, because it had a tag trailer and they didn't have a tag trailer. They had the gooseneck, because that's what Freddie had. So I think I took your truck and trailer, or they got a trailer somewhere because they didn't. But anyway, I remember taking it over there.
We still got that trailer.
Do you?
Yeah, sure do.
And didn't do any good over there and got back. And I think Rick was getting a divorce or something, and all that kind of fell apart. And he was trying to sell the car. He's needing to sell stuff, and so.
Wonder where that car went. Do you know?
At one time, Jerry Webster had it.
Oh.
At one time, he bought it from somebody. I think it went to Cookville, or somebody up toward Knoxville bought it. And then somehow, I think Jerry Webster ended up with it. Because when he started trying to sell it, if it would have been able to put a big block in it, I'd have bought it. But it had the small block, and it was made for a small block because I think it was Sexton's old car.
Yeah, that was the first car I ever saw at Riverside. Yeah. Was when it was orange and it said Pure Hell Vega on the side. It was Larry Sexton's.
Yeah. I think that's who it was. I think because him and Freddie were big buddies, and I think when he got rid of the car, I think he ended up with it.
Yeah, Freddie got it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then it was purple and silver, maroon and silver or something when I drove it, and then Rick and them painted it black. I think. Yeah.
Had the Big Mac tool sticker.
Yeah.
On it, right?
Yeah, sure did.
That body from that Vega come from Turner's Junkyard in Manchester somewhere. That's where Larry bought that body from.
Really?
Yep.
Like I say, it just, everybody knows everybody. You know, if
I
you
think
stop.
that was a lot of or either that or that Monza was a lot of Chris Austin stuff. That might have been the Monza he built.
Yeah.
After
Well, I think Freddie's.
He still got that
Freddie,
car.
yeah, I think, or he had it up for sale.
Yeah, he had it up for sale. Yeah.
Well, Eddie Harrington, I think, bought it from Larry and run
really?
it in Super Pro a lot.
Oh, really?
Some Eddie Harrington did. And
yeah, I remember he ran Super Gas for a while. He had a real pretty
Super
black
Gas.
Camaro. He had a real pretty black Camaro, had blue writing on it or something, and he had a body shop or something in Scottsville.
Yeah.
I think so. I think if I'm thinking about the same guy, I think it's
and then I guess Freddie bought it from Eddie probably, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I knew Harrington when we first started running Super Gas. He had a real pretty black Camaro.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, because like I say, Super Gas used to be 30 cars in it at the hill.
Oh yeah.
You know, it wasn't nothing because there would be 100 Super Pro cars. You know.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't nothing. I mean, you didn't think anything about it. That's just how it was. You know,
Right.
We would draw numbers coming in. James Ellis would do it.
Yeah.
You draw numbers out as you went over and checked in, and that'd be your number for the night. And they would pair you.
Yeah.
1 runs 2, 2 runs 3 runs 4.
Well, we've
right
done
down
that
the
in
line.
Super Pro too.
Yeah, they started doing that in Super Pro
Super
too.
Pro, yep. 14 or 15 would run 14 or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
They would just run it right down the line. So if it wasn't enough to fill up 30 tickets, they just skip that one, and the next one,
Yeah.
you'd get the next one.
Yeah.
So what was it like being so successful in Super Pro and then being successful in Super Gas and then going back to running stock with the Camaro?
It was different because I'd been a long time since I've been in a car that was that slow. I know we went to Cordova. She went with me. We went up there to a national IHRA race or something, and that's the first time she had actually seen the car run. And it was fast for what it was, but it was a mid 11 second, high 11 second car then, And I'd been, I had run 550 cars, and everything. And I said, "What'd you think?" When I got back to the trailer, and she said, "Slow. It looks slow." I said, "It is slow."
Yeah, right.
That's how that works, But it was, it basically just, I kind of went back to my old way of thinking. It was foot brake. You shifted it, it would shift 1, 2 itself, and then you'd have to put it in high gear. It just, you had to figure out, you was talking about little tires earlier.
Yeah. I
would carry a set of small tires with me for the Camaro, and like 20, 24 and a halves or something, and they'd regularly have like 27s on it or something, I'd go somewhere and hit the tree first pass, and if I was 50 or so, I would come back and put the little tires on it, and it'd pick up about 300s. It'd go to 20s,
right.
520s,
wow.
and it was funny to me because people that even ran then that had fast cars and raced a lot, I would have them ask me, why are you doing that?
Yeah, because everybody was running like 28s on the front.
Yeah, they run the big tires because it make the car faster. ET wise, I didn't care about the ET. I had shoe polish. I can fix that part. But and people would say, "Why you do that? Why are you doing that?" And I had a guy ask me I think we were at Norwalk, but he come over and asked me, "So why are you putting the little tires on? It looks funny with the little tires." I said, "Because I've been 50 on the tree," and I said, "I didn't miss it." So,
right.
I said, "I'll be 20 or better with these." He said, "Okay." And I went around there. I think I was like 18 or 19 the next hit. And he come over and he said, "Oh." I said, "Well, you did it now." And I said, "Now if I go somewhere and it goes red, I'll put the big tires back on it." So I would swap them back and forth because some tracks have a little bit different rollout, and it don't take much, an inch or so, and it'll throw you way off, And we didn't have a lay box. It wasn't like I could just put more numbers in it or
Right,
take some out. I had to figure. And if I changed my spot, I'd liable to change it way too much. I still don't do that. I don't even run in super stock. I don't change me. I hit it like I see it, and then I make the car do what I want it to do. I try to move it up or down accordingly. And that's. Anytime I try to change myself, it's too drastic. I can't change myself 15,000s. Right. I don't. My mind don't work like that. I can't do that. So.
Well, it looks like you started in a '66 Chevy II, and through all the years of racing, you're back in a '66 Chevy II. So, what's so special about a Chevy II?
I guess I just fell in love with it. I bought that one right out of high school, within a year or so after high school. And it belonged to a really good friend of mine. And he just passed away here a couple of months ago, but he loved the car. He had it, and he had put a 350 angle plug head motor, everything in it. Had a 780 Holly, 350 turbo.
They're just neat cars.
Yeah,
and
he had all the interior, the console, everything. He had the console made where you could put it in low gear with the turbo and all that. But it was a true super sport. And I bugged him we worked together at Gates. I worked at Gates for 4 or 5 years, and I met him there, and he'd come back out of the service. Well, he'd buy different cars. He bought a bunch of different cars, had a bunch. and he had that Chevy II, and I stayed after him for it. I said, I really like that car. What do you take for it? And he wouldn't ever price it. And finally one day, I don't know if I caught him or just had wore him down. He told me what he'd take for it, and I said, okay, I'll take it. I said, I'll come to your house. So we worked nights. We were working just like 3 a.m. You
remember who he was?
Jimmy Wright was his name. Yeah, and he'd had a really fast Corvette. You might remember a car, he bought it. I don't remember who owned it, but it's called Timid Tiger, a little GTO. It was a 64 GTO that run at the hill some. And it had Timid Tiger on the side of it, and the roof was striped and everything. He bought that car and drove it on the street.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So, I mean, he loved cars, and, he was, and like I say, he was pretty sharp, but when I got that car, I started tinkering with it. It run 890s when I bought it at the hill. And so it was a pretty fast street car, and like I say, so we tinkered with it. But anyway, I love the way they look. I'd had a 66 Fairlane GT when I bought the Chevy II. I had a Fairlane GT, but it was a stick car, and I only run it a couple of times to see what it would run, at the hill. And so anything else I raced was automatic. I wasn't really. I liked driving a stick car, but I didn't like the work, and bracket racing it and stuff. It was just
wasn't consistent.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. When I put one in my Chevy II, I made it consistent. I used to tell everybody, I said, it'll run what it's going to run right off the trailer. You don't have to warm it up. Just drive it to the staging lane, go make a hit, and that's what it's going to run. You can put it on the window. And I said, I like that about a stick car. Automatic transmission seemed to move around a little bit.
Yeah, you got to warm that fluid up.
And keep it warm, So, but like I say, I really like the way they look. They just make a good natural race car, I think, And apparently everybody else does too, because they're everywhere. At the racetracks, you don't see any on the street, but they're all at the drag strip.
Yeah.
Well, you got one, I got one, my brother's got one.
Yeah.
But the one you got now is really, really sharp.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So you've done pretty well in it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been lucky. Like I say, I finished last year in Division III. I finished 8th. Wasn't really chasing the points. We still had a couple of races
I was going to ask you
claim.
what division
we could claim a couple more races according to NHRA. If we'd have bettered ourselves, we could have moved up. Me and Kenny both. And I ended up 8th. I think he ended up 5th or 6th or something.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. He had a really good year. He won the Baby Gators and stuff. But I'd gotten runner-up at the Indy Points meet last year, and just, we win a lot of rounds, didn't win a lot of money. It's one of those deals, But everybody, everywhere I go, everybody likes the car. I mean, I have people come over and take pictures. They walk around, and Kenny's Corvette sitting there, and it's beautiful. It wins best appearing car. A lot of times, he's won it a bunch of times, and people will come up and they'll look at his car, take a couple pictures. They'll come over and just walk around mine. Kenny says, they look at your car all the time. They don't pay attention to mine, He said, they'll look at mine for a minute. He said, unless it's a Corvette, somebody that's in the Corvettes, they'll look at it. He said, then they go over and start looking at yours,
So how does the contingency money, how does that play out nowadays?
It's not as good as it used to be. I think COVID really hurt NHRA and really hurt their class racing and stuff, because I know like Tucker and them, they talk about they won class at Columbus and they won class at Gainesville and they won class here and there. They don't do that anymore. They run one race for class in each division every year. So you only got 7 shots at it plus Indy, basically. You got 7 shots at winning a class trophy plus Indy. So that's it. And they used to run according to Bridges and Kenny, they used to run class every national event.
Right. Yeah.
They ran class every one of them, and Bridges used to tell me if it would pay for your trip if you won class. He said you win $1,900, $2,000 winning class. He said, so it would pay for your trip to go, so you could afford to go to Kansas or go to Pomona if you wanted to go, like that. Especially if you had a fast car like his. Mine's not that fast, mine. I sneak in there once in a while, but I'm kind of in the middle of the pack, So, but they don't run class a lot.
Yeah, I think back in this, it was $300 a sticker.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah, if you got 20 stickers on there, you do the math, that was pretty good money.
I think when we run the Bristol race in the Vega back then, I think we won $14,000-$15,000.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
It really paid good. You know, I think I think that's what it was. It was a lot because we had a lot of stickers on it, you know,
Yeah.
and everything. And like I say, then they would just go around and check them off. They would look, see if you had it.
Yeah.
That was basically it. Now they want you to send them a receipt, and you had to bought it within the last year or, you know, 2 years or whatever. Even the gas, you know, you got to buy gas every month and show a receipt for VP to pay you. Now, you know, just stuff like that. So if you go by, like I just went and picked up 4 cans of fuel. Well, I won't use 4 cans in a month, and you know, not this month, especially unless I'd have to go a bunch around, not in July, you know. But if I've got some left in August, then if I want to race in August, I won't get paid, you know, because I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind of crazy the way they do it. They, you know, they're only game in town, so you almost got to play, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to play, you got to play by their rules. It's their rules, and that, you know, and that's why everybody just kind of looks at it.
Kind of got a small window to win contingency money.
Right. You know, and like I say, like I tell everybody, you know, I'm getting older. I'm gonna try to do it as long as I feel competitive.
Right.
You know, as long as my body hold up.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I wonder about that, but before, you know.
Well, you just won the Sports Nationals Open.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, for some around in the end of May sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Tyler Bohannon, him and PJ North have a podcast.
Oh yeah.
It's on YouTube every week. And I think Tyler was telling his side of the story of not having to run Terry.
Yeah. I watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about reaching out to them and seeing if they'd let me use to hear your side of the story, and then turn around and hear Tyler's side of the story.
Yeah. Like I say, I've known Tyler a long time. I've known PJ a few years. I've known Tyler for a while, and he's a really good guy. I mean, I call him a kid. You know, he's 30-something years old, I guess. I don't know how old he is, but you know, he's one of the young guns. But he's been good for a while, you know, and everything. And he's just good at what he does. I mean, that's all you can say. You know, you just go around there and do what you do, and hope he makes a mistake. You know, or it's basically, you know, when we ran, I didn't have any expectations one way or the other. I mean, truthfully, we'd been there forever. We'd been in a 6-hour rain delay. Everybody wore out. You know, once you get that far, you kind of want to go ahead and win it and be done with it, you know. But like I say, I told Diane, I said I wasn't nervous. Used to, I'd get all hyped up when I was younger, you know. I'd be nervous, and you still worry about first round a little bit, especially when you run your time trials one day and you run first round the next day. And they do that everywhere, just about.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you win that, you still don't get another time trial. You just run again the next day, you know, at a national event. So I used to be all, you know, tied in knots and stuff and anxious, you know, wanting to get it done, but then hoping I didn't make a mistake and stuff. And now I don't know, I guess got older. I just got enough confidence in the car and in what I do, and just go out there and give it your best shot. And you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. You know, we'll go back and play again later. And used to, I didn't have that attitude. You know, I felt like I should
win.
I should do good. Yeah, I should. You know, I felt like I should. You know, and going back to starting off, you know, I tried to make enough money to race. You know, and I was lucky. Probably the first 7-8 years there, I probably made enough to carry my racing stuff. You know, I'd win. Like I say, I won all 3 races on the weekend. You know, go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and win all 3 of them. You know, didn't do it very often, but I did do it. You know, of course, it wasn't a lot of money, but back then you made $200 a week or $250 a week if you was lucky, and you know, and you win $800, $900 on a weekend. You know, you could race for a little while. You know,
that's the thing that it seems consistent with everybody. They race Friday, they'd race Saturday, and then race Sunday.
Yeah.
So that seems like that's one of the tickets that you got to do or to get good at it.
Well, and like I say, the more you did it,
The
it
better
just-
you got.
Yeah. You knew the car. You knew. I used to tell people that black car, I could tell you what it's going to run when it left starting line. I could just tell by the way it left. And if it, when I put the big block in it, it changed it a little bit, but it's still, if it tried to stand up and I shifted it early, I knew I had to kill 3 or 4 at the finish line because it was going to be faster. But I couldn't shift it early all the time. I wasn't quick enough. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't make myself shift it before I thought it was ready. But when it tried to stand up, I didn't want it to climb anymore, and I'd pull it, and I'd look, and I'd shift it about 5,800, and it would lug the car, and it'd come back down, but it would pick up ET. It would be faster than it would if it got way up in the air.
Right.
So, you just learn different things. You run down there, and you just have to get in your head, okay, this is what happened, this is what you got to do,
So is the Chevy II that you have now kind of the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3,020 pounds with me in it.
3,000.
That's the minimum. It's usually about 15 over that.
Yeah.
But it's a good car. I mean, we're just now getting to know each other.
Well, that's
That's the thing.
and
It
that's
takes
a later model piece too.
It's a 66, but the technology's a little better on it, I guess.
When was it built?
It was built in 2010 or 11.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah. It was actually put together. Yeah, it was actually put together then. The guy in Florida built it. They bought a whole. It's original super sport car. It's got the VIN and everything's original super sport car, and
Because the frame rails and all are kind of up in that car.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
In that floorboard.
yeah, that
and all.
car sets really low.
Yeah.
That was I thought about raising the back end of it up, but more when I see it, I like the way it sits.
Yeah, and if it works,
That's the
what,
thing. I don't want to mess with it because it'll leave in gravel just about. I mean, it's consistent. I mean,
It's 327 car?
yeah, it's a 327, 275 horse. So it's got a 350 turbo in it, but it's a good piece. I mean,
do you think the turbo has helped that car?
yeah, over a Power Glide.
Over Power Glide,
Yeah.
you think it would?
Yeah,
'Cause it's got another gear on out there.
Yeah, when you put a turbo in them, probably picks them up 10th, maybe a little better.
Really?
Because of the gearing down low, especially moving that kind of weight with a little motor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it probably picks them
I
up.
wondered about that.
Yeah, I would think it would. I changed the gearing in that one and picked it up 400 or 500 in 60 feet.
Yeah.
Just changing gearing in the transmission. So the 400 or 500 in 60 feet equates down the track.
Yeah.
If the car just maintains, it's already 400 or 500 quicker. I really like the car. I enjoy driving it.
Yeah.
I enjoy people that like it. They come around, like say, and it's, we're just now getting to know each other. I can tell when something's off just a hair where the first year or two I didn't know. I was still learning the car, so now I know how to dial it, a little better, what it likes, what it don't like. Before, everything I tried when I first bought it, going back to old school stuff and talking it over with Bridges or Kenny or whoever that's raced for years, and I would sit down and pick their brains with it and trying to pick the car up, and I'd say, what if we do this? What if we do that? Well, that should work. That should help. Like that. Everything we did to it slowed it down. Everything. Move the timing 3 or 4 degrees. Slow it down. And you could move it either way. It didn't matter. It was where it needed to be. The only thing I did to it, pick the car up, was change the gear sets in the
Yeah.
transmission.
Did that guy
So
run that car very long?
He ran it about probably 7, 8 years.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he
I think
just get out of racing?
Well, he got sick. Yeah, he had ALS, and so he passed away the first year I had it at Indy. So I bought it in October, and then he passed away the next year. But I didn't know him, but I'd asked Kenny and asked Jimmy and different ones that I knew went to these big races and went to Gainesville and stuff, because he lived in Orlando. So I would ask people about him, and they said, he's straight up guy. If he tells you whatever he tells you, that's what And I said, that's all I need to know, you know. I said, I'll ask him the right questions, you know. I said, I just need to know what kind of person he is. And every one of them said, that's a good car. That's a good car. But I don't think he raced it as much as he would have liked to, you know. He living in Orlando, you only got Orlando and Valdosta and Gainesville, and, you know, you might go to South Carolina somewhere before he could come to Atlanta. Atlanta was gone, you know. You got Reynolds. There's not a lot of tracks down there. They race a lot, but I don't think they race a lot of combo or anything like that. So you got a couple of races, you know. He come to Bowling Green. He told me he came to Bowling Green a few times. He went to Virginia a few times in it, you know. But
Did he have a certain chassis person build that car?
yeah, it's got a tag on it, but I can't read it. It's one of the metal tags, you know. It's got a tag on it. Who built it? Somebody in Florida built it.
Did it? Yeah.
And I think they built the car for the class, because it's not one of these you can. It's got a bunch of weight tied to it somewhere, and you can take it out and move a class. You know?
Oh, okay.
I think they knew how much it had to weigh, and
And that's
and
what
they
they
built
built
it.
it
They
for.
built it accordingly. Yeah,
To that class.
yeah, for that class. So
Who's your most fierce competitor, or were you everyone's fierce competitor?
oh me, I don't know. I would like to think everybody worried about me a little bit, but I was worried about everybody else. Every time you pull around there, you know, it's just, you know,
Well,
you
yeah.
can't bracket racing or super. You can't take anybody,
Right.
you know, unless you know they've never been in a car before. You know, that'd be your only shot, because if you got to give everybody your best shot.
Yep.
That's the way I go out there. I quit thinking about who I'm even running. I don't care. You know, doesn't make any, you know, Tyler wasn't no different than if I'd have been running, if Diane been in her street car. I would have hit the tree the same and went on, you know. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah, you back up. You
Yeah,
back up too far
yeah.
then. Yeah.
Like, say, if you go around there, in your head, you're saying, don't red light. It's like playing golf. Don't hit it in the water.
Yeah.
Well, it's going straight to the water. You know, it just, so if you tell yourself, don't red light, you either will red light or you'll be dead late. Yeah. I red lighted a bunch the second year I had that car, this new car. I red lighted a bunch because I was trying to get it too close. You know, I thought, you got to be down here. These guys are too good. I have to be down here. And they are, but they're not there every pass. You just got to be in line at the right place to make this run,
And
you know.
and I've noticed that about stalkers. They're
Yeah.
the same way too.
Yeah, you know, they'd be 002, you know, you can see, just like I was talking about Logan, you know, up there, he's tough. And he's number 5 in the world this year in Superstock. I mean, he's got number 5 on his car. It ain't his first race. But, you know, he's not going to be 005, 007 every pass. And if I try to go down there with him, I'm subject to be red, you know. I'd rather him miss it a little, or us both be 30 or 25 and let's race, you know. So,
Yeah.
so
Because it's like I've told Daryl, if it's red, the race is over. If it's both of you's green, it's a good race.
you got to race, yeah.
You got-
That's what I drove David Simmons' little Vega one year. I just went down there. I had quit racing there for a little while, and I quit after my stalker. I quit and raised my grandson, coached football and coached baseball, and stayed away from the racetrack. I did not go because I knew if I went,
You got the bug.
yeah,
Yep.
you know, and I would not go, and I didn't go back till probably my granddaughter was probably 8, so probably 2011, something like that. I quit in like 98.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I quit just a little bit before you did.
Yeah, I quit. I run my stalker that year. I finished 5th in the world in IHRA in stock, and come home, and my grandson here, and he's 6, you know, 5 or 6 years old, and he'd playing baseball and football and all this stuff, and didn't have a dad in the picture. And I said something about, I think I'd go back next year, and I think I could win the world championship, you know, if I started early, because I didn't start till the end of May. I said, if I start early and everything kind of goes my way a little bit, you have a break here and there, I think I can win it. Like that. So what do you think? He said, you're gone too much, you know. And I looked at my wife. She said, "I didn't say nothing. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Like that." And so, the more I thought about it, I said, "Yeah, he's right. I need to do what's right with him. So I sold everything. Mike Wiffle bought my Camaro. He still got it. He's still got it. It's stocker. Of course, he's got 2 more now. He's got a black Chevy II and a Camaro and stuff. But and Corky drives another car, but he come over here and bought it, and I told him you can have everything goes with it. Riding the truck.
Well, is his wife driving one of them cars now?
Yeah, she's got I don't know what year Camaro. It's a later model, like a Gen 3, 4, like that, one of those, and it's a Gen 3 car, I think. And it's fast. He's found something on it all of a sudden this year.
It's probably got a Wingo motor in it, hadn't it?
I don't know.
I'd say.
But so I went back. I was number 5 in the world. Went back and run 1 points meet at Aiken. Went over and run the first points meet in IHRA. Got down 3 cars. Got beat. Come home. Sold the car. Wow. So I was number 3. I was number 3 when I quit. Like I say, I probably quit when I was kind of at my peak. When I really felt like I could probably win some races. On a bigger scale. I had won a bunch locally, but, when I started venturing out, when I did quit, I don't regret it. But, sometimes you wonder what you could have done. What you could have done, if you hadn't have. But, it was, I'm glad I did what I did.
Okay, here's my top 10 questions. It's either one or the other. Open face helmet or full face helmet?
Full face. Like I say, I think I'd feel exposed now. I've worn them for the last 7, 8 years. So I think I'd feel safer with them on.
With a full face? Yeah.
Automatic, 4-speed, or Linko?
Boy, I've driven them all.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should say, which one is the funnest to drive?
The most fun
is the Linko, I guess, wouldn't it?
Probably the Linko. That's probably the most fun. It's durable.
Yeah, right. You don't tear it up.
You don't tear those up.
Right. All you got to do is pull that lever.
Yeah, you just reach over and pull it. And so there, like I say, I enjoy all of them. I mean, especially now that the converters and all have gotten so good. Cars leave good, and everything. So but I'd say probably the Linko, if I had something I was just going to go race or play with, a Linko, even though I know they're horsepower robbing, nobody likes them. But
they do rob horsepower.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah. Well, would Jericho be how would it do compared to it? It'd be okay?
They'd be faster. They'd be faster. Yeah, the good 5-speed. That's why all the pro stocks run the 5 speeds now instead of the Linko, because the Linko slowed them down. They got too much internal mass turning.
All right, now you've ran all 3 of these classes. Super Pro, Super Gas, or Super Stock? Which one?
I really like Super Stock, but I probably enjoyed Super Gas better. Yeah, I just, deep down, I still go talk to a bunch of guys in Super Gas that I knew then that's still racing now. Yeah, Sherman Adcock won. I see him at a lot of the races, and I go hang out with him, talk to him a lot. He's been around as long or longer than I have, so I enjoy watching Super Gas. I liked it a lot better before the electronics, but I do enjoy watching it. Still, even though I thought it was better before they put the throttle stops on it.
All right. What about small tire, big tire?
Big tire.
NHRA or IHRA?
I really enjoyed IHRA when I ran it. They were really good. But right now, being they're basically not available yet around here, probably still say NHRA. I like the atmosphere and all the friends you see at NHRA.
Yeah, I listened to PJ and Tyler's podcast, and they had a guy on there from IHRA, And man, they're going for sportsman classes. They're running $5,000.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're stepping it up. They said they weren't going to run points this year or do champions, but next year it was on.
I've thought about that moving, because the only thing, I just ran IHRA 1 year, and we ran some points meets and stuff scattered out over the year. From the time I drove from Corlew to whoever, we would go wherever was closest. We'd go run a points meet just to do something different. And IHRA was always glad to see you.
Yeah.
You know, they would.
I guess that's why the Hill's gone to IHRA.
If you ask somebody a question, they didn't act like you're bothering them, you know, and they legitimately, they would come by and thank you for showing up. When I run stock stuff, guys on the scooters would stop. Thanks, glad you could be here. I know you drove a long ways, you know.
What do you think, small block or big block?
Big block. I just like them. There's no replacing cubic inches.
Well, that's true.
If you're gonna race, you know, if you want to go fast, that's what you got to have.
Yeah.
I just like the way they pull, they feel. You know, even this car, I love the car, love everything about it, but you know, you put it in high gear. I've been used to running 160 something mile an hour in a super gas car. You put this one in high gear, and it's just making noise. You don't feel it pulling. You don't feel, you know, you're just riding. Yeah.
1/8 mile or 1/4 mile?
Honestly, I always like the 1/8 mile. I mean, I know now I have to run quarter because that's what they do.
Right.
And I don't object to it, but
it's easier on equipment.
It's easier on equipment. I used to think when we ran at the hill all the time and you did pretty good up there, I used to think we had an advantage when we went to a 1/4 mile because it slowed everything down. All of a sudden, instead of in 6 seconds, you got to make a decision what to do. I can watch them for another 3 seconds or 4 seconds and bring them to you, you know, or get by them.
Yeah.
You know, either way, or make it a race.
Yeah.
I just felt like and it showed up in stats there for a long time. People from the hill that ran in combo, super gas or anything, and still like that, they go off somewhere else. They generally do pretty good. Right. You know, Tucker's a good thing. Don Wolf, Bridges, you know, Kenny, you know, they super gas racers. You got Lynn Ellison. You know, he came down there and raced forever. He's been world champ. I mean, and I knew him when he first started racing. You know, his
super
dad
gas in that
Corvette. Come down there in that Corvette.
Yeah.
His dad come over and said the funniest thing to me, and I never forgot it. And I told Lynn one day about it. When I first started driving Corlew's car, it had the Linko in it, and he come over and he was looking at it and looking at me. You know, first time I went up there in the Dynasty car in the Monza, and he said, I don't care how fast you are, you're not faster than electricity. You know, he said he let go that trans brake. He said it's gone right then. He said I don't care, you can't move your leg that fast, like that. And I thought that's pretty cool. He said I don't care how fast you are, you know. And I thought, well, he's right.
And that's kind of like when I told Mike Lynch I was going to put a trans brake in my car. I think, a delay box in it. And Mike said, well, it ain't nothing to it. He said, you just got to let go of that button the same every time, though.
Yeah, that's the trick. That's the trick to them. Like I say, you don't have to be fast. All you got to do is be consistent.
So, are you better on the tree or driving the finish line?
I'd say with age, I'm probably better on the tree now than I am driving the finish line. I think my depth perception and stuff has gone where before I could do it now. If I have a weakness, I feel like that would be my weaker of the two. I probably win more races now on the starting line than I did the finish line. I don't feel as confident driving the finish line as I used to. And it's because I've made mistakes that I didn't used to make, you know, and I realize it, you know. I know, you know, I'm thinking I'm in front, back up to them and give them the stripe 6,000s or, you know, 2,000s or something, and till the light comes on, I still think I got there first, you know, and then their light pop on, or my light pop on, I get the ticket and show I gave it up, but I still won, you know. but it's, so I'm not as confident driving the finish line as I was. It's better in the daytime.
Yeah.
Nighttime's worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, favorite track to race at?
Well, I always loved the Hill. I mean, everybody always went there. That was just, you were there on Saturday night. Didn't matter what else was going on, basically. You know, since I've got out and ventured out, now I really like Indy. Everybody likes Indy. I like the atmosphere when we go. But as far as just racing, I probably would say St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I like the facilities are nice.
Is it kind of wide open? Like, I mean,
yeah, the facilities are nice. They got plenty of parking. They got, you know, it's just, they're set up to do it. You know, they got a different place they pair everybody with, you know, over on the other side of the staging lanes. So you're not at the back of the staging lanes jamming everything up. You know, you pull around, they call it a holding pen or whatever they call it, and you pull around there and you get with who you're going to run. When they start running super stock, they pull you out. You know, you just go around there, they tell you, get in your lane, you know, and the facilities are really nice. I like it to go up there. We go up there and run the double every year. At the end of the year, that's usually one of the last races we run.
like Indy, you know, like the Hill, when you come around there, you know, everything is kind of tight.
Yeah.
You know, in the starting line on the tree and all. But look like to me at Indy, it's kind of wide open.
Yeah,
Is that easier to get used to?
It's harder to drive the finish line when they're further away. To me, it always was. You know, that's why if you watch, I was watching Norwalk this weekend. If you watch, a lot of the cars, as they get to the finish line, they move to the center line. If they're the ones that thinks they're going to drive the finish line, they'll move to the center line. You can see them move over. They're trying to get closer where they can set up on this car. You know, if you both stay way over there, it's hard to beat somebody a wheel when you're 30 feet away.
Right.
Yeah, I've just kind of wondered about that.
Yeah,
it makes sense because they're not right there.
Yeah.
They're over there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
The hardest place I ever did that was Tri-State. They had grass between this lane and this lane. There's a grass median between you. So you can't, it's hard to drive the finish line there because you're looking across, you know, it's a long ways over there, you know.
I've wondered about that.
Yeah.
Like
The closer they are, the easier it is to tell where they're at. You know, you start backing them out. And especially, like I say, as I get older, my depth perception, you know, I pulled up in the staging lanes, did it against Logan at Ohio Valley. And his car was sitting still. And I pulled up beside him to see where I needed to be on his car to be a wheel in front of him because we were going to have to run. And I got out and looked, didn't look right from my side, and he's sitting still now. And I pulled up. I got to the other side. He's still ahead of me about that far. His wheels were, and I said, no wonder I can't do this at 130 miles an hour, you know. No wonder I can't do it. He's sitting still, and I can't do it, you know. You know?
well, being a part of the evolution of drag racing, what can you tell me or future racers who watch this? What does it take to turn on the wind light?
I think you got to go do it. You know, you can't go 4 times a year and race and do any good. You know, you really gonna have to get experience going up and down the track.
You got to stay after weekend and week out.
You got to go. Like say now with electronics and stuff, it's kind of hard. You're teaching them in a junior dragster how to leave the start line, and then after that they've got electronics. Most of the classes they go into, they're gonna leave on a top bulb, or they're gonna, you know, they got a delay box, they've got a throttle stop, you know, this and that. I wish they would do away with some of that stuff, you know, and have a class that's one reason I run super stock. I don't like the electronics, you know. I was looking at a super gas car, but I just didn't care for the electronics, and it wasn't that I didn't think I could do it, I didn't like it, you know. It's just too.
So with the Chevy II now, you foot brake it? You foot brake the Chevy II?
It's got a trans brake in it.
Okay.
So I do trans brake.
Is it like a long button?
Yeah.
Okay.
You still let go of a button there.
Yeah. On the bottom bulb, yeah.
On the bottom bulb. But Now, how does that what'd you call that? A long button?
It's a long button. It's got a 3-inch throw to it. Your trans brake button's got 3-inch throw. And mine, right now, I've got it just about all the shims out of it. So it's almost 3 inches.
See, I tried that in my
up.
car when I didn't have a delay box.
It's trial and error, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we go back to is stuff I did in the 70s.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, that's the way I know this will work.
Yeah.
It may not be the way they're doing it now.
Right.
But I know I can make this do what I want it to do.
Right, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I go back to, you know. If I'm trying to kill some reaction time, I let air out of the back tires, you know, let them wad up a little bit.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That'll do
Huh.
it.
Because I had Duke come up, not Jerry, but Ronnie, back when he was still alive. He come up to me one night at the hill and he said, "You need to put some air in them back tires."
Yeah. See, if you want to hurt a little reaction time, you can. When you don't have a delay box, you don't have anything else to depend on. You're dependent on your ingenuity. You know, you can let a little air out of all 4 tires and let them wad just a little in the back. It'll take, when you're looking for thousandths. That's what I tell everybody. Used to, we raced for racing hundreds of a seconds. Now you race in thousandths of a second. You know, it's done got down to, you know, I'm not trying to move the car 200ths. I want to move it 5,000ths. You know, I don't want, I want it to move this much, you know, and not this much. You know, and people don't realize when you talk about 100th of a second, well, 130 miles an hour, that's, you know, 2.5 feet, you know, or a little better. You know, and so you get beat by 200ths, well, they beat you by 5 feet. You know, of course, it depends on how fast the cars are going, you know, but you talk to somebody that don't know, you know, they say, you know, I say, well, I got beat by 2,000ths, you know, I got beat 2,000ths at the finish line. They go, 2,000ths? I said, yeah, you can't do anything in 2,000ths. You can't blink. You can't do anything. It takes 300ths to blink.
Right,
you
right.
Know? You know, so I said, you know, so they don't understand, you know, you start talking about, well, I was 002 red, you know, and they go, well, why'd you go red? I said, didn't mean to. Didn't see that 3,000. You know, I don't know what to tell you. You know, that's the best I could do. I saw it and let go of the button.
Well, I was bugging
and it went red.
Ricky Stevens about going red so much. And when Darryl went back over there to Jimmy's, they was working on it, and he told Darryl, he said, "Tell your daddy I done put some big tires on the front of the Chevy II." Yeah. I said, "Yeah, but that still might not keep you from going red, though, Ricky." You know.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Straight from Terry Nolen. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and don't forget to comment. DC and
CC, we're out of here.
We out. Oh, wait, I gotta go get you something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now you're still on.
You're
Backing
still
into the room. Oh, man.
It's fun doing this.
Yeah, bet.
It brings back a lot of good memories back.
Like I say, I was worried about it. Just,
When I raced and stuff too. Yeah. And Daryl's learned a lot of stuff too. You know, he's learned. I remember the first time I put him in the wagon up there at the hill. We went up there one Sunday and the little streetcar was going 10 somethings, you know. He said, "I want to drive a race car, Dad." I said, "All right." And it was going like 715s or something like that, you know, and I put him in it. That's when Greenfield had the track. Darryl done that burnout, knocked his glasses off. So he killed the motor to get it back started, you know.
Well, to be on Legends of Ivey Point Road, you have to have a jacket.
Oh, how nice.
But it's in the middle of summer, so you don't want to take it to.
Hey,
Yeah.
might just wear it around.
you know,
Yeah.
when he goes to, he keeps jackets, sweatshirts, summer shirts. He keeps some of everything in his trailer when he goes on trips.
you need
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere you go.
I think we was at the hill last year sometime, boy, and I mean it.
Well, it's a dickie, so
cold
it's
up
made to
there.
work in.
Kenneth, he was borrowing something from Judy
Yeah.
Parrish to put on, you know.
That's
And I tell you what,
nice.
The last one I won, I think in with Rick's car up there. They gave a jacket away. He got
Really?
Music City Raceway. And stuff.
Okay.
And I don't think I've ever worn it. It's hanging in the closet.
So-
Really?
Yeah.
I've still got my racing jacket hanging up in my washroom
I've got my
right
first
now.
one. I can't get it
I
on
washed it.
anymore.
hung it up. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really nice of y'all.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Jimmy one, and it fit him everywhere except for his
Right
dad.
there.
So I got him another one, mate. I gotta go give it to him.
Right.
Yeah.
He's,
I couldn't
he's
help
rounder than he is
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah.
it.
Kind of like me, but it's right here.
Times around